Hi everyone, this is week 21 of the 52-week project. This is the final week of May, which is fast shutter. We'll get started on this image here. As you can see, it's a bit dark. This was shot at f22 at 1/4000th of a second at ISO 800. It set up a movie projector screen. And this is all from sunlight. There was no extra lights added with this. I basically just had the sun to my back, or the back of the camera, I should say. And it just reflected off of this movie screen. This movie screen was actually something that was being thrown out, and I grabbed it, figuring I could put it to some use. So you could see there's little spots and stuff on there, so we're gonna have to clean that up. But well, let's get started. The first thing I want to do is fix the color temperature here. It's a bit yellow. You'll notice the water itself that's spilling out of the bucket here is it's like an orangey color. So the color should be orange, but I'm going to try and get a nice balanced color. So this isn't orange in the background. I want it to actually be white. So I'll move the color temperature to around 4700. Fix this a little bit as well. Move that up a little bit. I think that looks pretty good. And I'm going to crank this exposure up, like way up. This shadow got a little bit too bright for me. I'm going to have to bring that down a bit. Bring that down considerably a lot. There we go. I think that looks pretty good. And I want some of these blacks to really pop in here, so I'm going to bring up the contrast and go pretty high with that. I don't want to create too much noise. This was shot at ISO 800, so the noise will be pretty prominent in the darker areas. Let's see. Bring the whites up a bit. As you can see, these marks are starting to show up a bit here now. I'm going to back off so you can see the whole image. You see these little marks are all starting to show up here. Pretty good with that so far. Let's bring up the saturation. I would use vibrance, and I think it does a great job with this here, but it kind of ruins this over here, so I'm going to bring that down to a negative number, and then just crank the saturation all the way up. And as you can see, it doesn't bring out all those aberrant colors that were in there. It just brings up the colors that are in here. Bring that off a little bit more, maybe make it a little bit stronger. I think that looks pretty good. Alright, next thing I want to do is get rid of these little marks. I'm going to go to the that's the adjustment tool. Where is it? Spot removal. There we go. And I'm just going to click and drag a little bit over that. Move it directly over. And that kind of encompasses it. And you could just kind of click in these areas. I don't like the way that one came out. Let's move that over there. I'll make this one a bit smaller. Nope, didn't want to do that. There we go. And I'll click there, and click there, there, there. This thing is pretty messy. There's one there, there's one there. I didn't realize how bad this thing really was. Let's make that one a little bit smaller. Actually, you know what? I'll leave it big. Make this one small. And clip that one. There's a little one there. Alright, I think you guys get the point. Hide them. And I think that pretty much does it for those. So I'm go back and hit the hand tool here so we can go back to our tabs. And I'm going to go to the tone curve. And I want to bring up this area over here. Let's make this a little whiter. I want to go with the highlights because that's the pure whites. That'll be these colors in here, or these illuminant value in here. We could raise it a little bit, and it will affect the overall image, but affects it in here. And then I'm going to raise the lights. Go around 40 with that, and I think that looks pretty good. Let me see. I don't want to blow out anything that's in here, and it really looks like I'm starting to clip everything there, so double click it and send it back to normal. And I think that's about it in Camera Raw. I mean, this image is pretty much done. Yeah, I don't want to play with that. Alright, so open the object up. Go into Photoshop. And here in Photoshop, I'm going to work on some of these highlights in here. I'm going to make a dodge and burn layer. And all the dodge and burn layer is a new layer filled with a 50% gray with the blending mode set to soft light. I have a keyboard shortcut for it because I use it so often. And I'm going to reset the color swatches here to black and white. And I'm going to zoom in. No, that wasn't zooming. Reset them again. Hold the Alt key, right click, and zoom in. Right click and drag will zoom in. I just want to kind of paint over these areas here that already have some highlights. I just want to emphasize them a little bit more. Maybe there's an area, say over here, that looks like it might need a highlight, or should have a highlight, or whatever your preference would be. Some areas I don't want to go too light, but areas like this, where you have a dark area that goes up against a light area, I think will add a bit of contrast and makes the image look a bit sharper. I like to add some spots in there. This is just my method. It may not be the right method, but it's what works for me. I'm actually going to create a... there you go, I did it again. Seems every time I record a video I do that. Okay, let's see. I'm just going to paint with straight white, 100% opacity. I do have pressure sensitivity set to on here. So you can see the shape dynamics is on, and I have pressure sensitivity on, and it is set to size. opacity jitter is also on, so the lighter I press, the less will come off of the nib. The hand doesn't exactly have to be so steady because it's, flowing water. There's no wrong way for the water to travel, unless it's defying gravity, and well, maybe then it shouldn't be that way, but for the most part you really can't mess up. Some of these areas that have the highlight in there, just add a little bit more to it and make it look like it's glowing a bit. Cover up some of that red there. I don't really care for that too much. But I think you get the idea. Let's see what it's done. It's not much. It's very subtle. You can see in this area here. A little bit up in here. And that's pretty much it. I mean, you could, if you'd like, change the colors too. Let's see if I can do this here. Oh, keep doing that. I'm going to hold the Alt key. I'm going to do a hue saturation and click on use previous layer to create a clipping mask, so it links the two layers together. I'm going to switch this off and hold down the Alt key. And for whatever reason it's choosing white. I don't know why it's doing that. The target adjustment tool here and find in the yellows here. Now we could just shift the color to whatever we want. So you want a nice vivid purple. Change the intensity of it and lighten it up to make it look a little more realistic. But there you go. There you have it. You get a little extra than what my final image came out like. We changed the color a little bit there. But let's go to full screen. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. And there you go. Alright guys, I'll see you next week.